Hi, I'm Charlie with Precision Matthews, and we've talked a lot about the lathes and milling machines that we sell, but today we're going to look at the unsung hero of the shop, the band saw. If you want to describe the job of a machinist as broadly as possible, you could say that we take pieces of metal and make them into smaller pieces of metal, and there's no machine in the shop that does that quite as quickly as the band saw. Today, we'll be showing a broad overview of our saw and its features, so let's get started. Today we're using one of the band saws that's been in service in our shop for years. This one's a workhorse, so there's usually more chips and grime present, but we gave her a spa day with some degreaser and WD-40, so she's ready for her close-up. We're starting with a random casting that I pulled out of the scrap bin, so no coolant for this cut. You'll rarely use coolant when cutting cast iron, because the natural lubricity of the material itself clears chips just fine, and because cast iron chips mixed with coolant makes a sludgy mess. This piece is kind of neat as an example because you can see how the cutting speed varies with how wide the cut is. The work envelope on this machine with a 90-degree cut is 7 inches tall and 12 inches wide, and no hard limit on how long a piece can be. We're using the air spring here to slow the cut down so we get a little better finish. But if we're being honest, probably most cuts on this machine are performed with the air spring in the WFO position. That stands for wide open, and it allows for the saw operator to do his cuts, then get back to the important business of scrolling on his phone and vaping in the bathroom. So that we can show you how the coolant works, we've got some aluminum bar next. Pretty self-explanatory. Once the coolant starts flowing, you hit the release valve for the air spring, and that lets the blade down. It's not rocket science, but the coolant gives you a little nicer cut, extends blade life, and most importantly, you don't burn your hand when you pick up your stock. If you're making just about any number of parts other than one, the next thing you need to know about is the work stop. I've got our same aluminum bar set up against the work stop here, and we made a couple of the exact same cut just to see how repeatable the cut is. Again, it's super simple. You just make your cut, release the vise, slide the stock to contact the work stop again, crank down the vise, and make another cut. Here are two pieces that came directly off the saw on the surface plate. As you can see, the variation in length between the parts is less than the variation in the surface finish of the saw cut. That means that for the purposes of subsequent operations on another machine, the parts that come off the saw when using the stop are effectively identical. While we're looking at the work holding features of the saw, I'll also point out that the vise is a quick adjust type. That doesn't seem like a big deal, but once you get used to the quick adjust vise, you'll never want to use a saw without one. Again, staying with work holding, the vise can go to any angle up to 45 degrees. Generally, you're keeping it at 90 for machining applications, but plenty of people use these saws for welding and fabrication, and those people need to make miter joints, so it's an option. You can generally get repeatable angles within about a half a degree, so it's more than good enough for a good fit up if you're welding tubing together. Lastly, we wanted to show that it's possible to use this machine as a vertical bandsaw with the included table. So you can do all kinds of vertical bandsaw things. Imagine if you really need to cut the slots out of a piece of a DRO bracket that you found in the scrap bin. The haters said it was impossible, but look at me now. So there you have it. You need stock to make parts on your lathes and mills, you need to prepare that stock somehow, and the bandsaw does that better than just about any other tool. In a future video, we'll talk about how to choose a blade, how to consider feeds and speeds, and more, so be sure you're subscribed to the channel to be notified when that video is available. And as always, thanks for watching.